Hey, you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Keith will be in a second. Um, we didn't get a lot of questions this time. So if you guys have any questions, please go to the chat and we'll go ahead and answer the questions. I know we've had a lot of questions about financing and how you're going to finance your deals. And so I'll start by answering some of those questions. Um, And then if you guys have any other questions that you may have, you can go ahead and put them in the comment section. And so when we talk about financing, just real quick, Keith, you with us?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that's a lot better. So when we talk about financing, you guys, um, we, obviously we're talking about you can pay cash for your properties. But outside of that, and I'll just kind of skip over that because most people don't. It's just not a very efficient way of doing your investment deals. Um, Only because when you're paying cash, there's little to no leverage. So a lot of your cash is tied up, whether you're fix and flipping or buying and holding. And so we don't encourage. We don't encourage paying cash for your properties. So then the other options are private lending. We have a number of private lenders that are part of our community that will lend you money up to 10% for a short term. We have hard money lenders that are part of our community that will lend you money, some up to a year. We have permanent money, permanent financing. You may have heard of what's called a DSCR loan, where you can buy a property. Let's just say we use the Burr method, where we buy a property right, that's the B, and then renovate the property, rent the property out, refinance. And when we refinance into a DSCR loan where they're not looking at your finances, they're looking at the financials of the property. And if you have the cash flow coming in, the rent's coming in, that at least 75% of the rent covers your mortgage, then you don't have to pay, you don't have to bring a dime to the table. And so that's a DSCR loan. They're looking at the financials of the property and the deal. And so oftentimes what I would do is I would use either a private lender or my line of credit or even a hard money lender to acquire the properties. And that's a good strategy now because even private lenders and hard money lenders, their rates are still really good. And so I would use their money to acquire the properties and then renovate them and then rent them out, refinance. And then the last R is to repeat the process. So now you're refinancing, you're getting all your money back, and then you repeat the process. So that's the Burr method, and that's another way to finance your deals. Partnering up with other people like us, like myself. We're happy to, if you find a deal, we're happy to partner with you. And so partnering up, doing joint ventures is another great way to finance your deals. And then obviously creative financing strategies. And so when we talk creative financing, we're talking about owner financing. I was pitching an owner financing deal yesterday. Um, Subject to buying the property, subject to the existing mortgage. Um, Also, so keeping the mortgage on the property, um, and then doing a hybrid of the two, taking over a mortgage, and if there's a lot of equity, getting the seller to owner finance the equity. That's a hybrid between the owner financing and subject to. There's lease options and a few other things, but like I said, got questions about financing. Those are your financing options. I will go into detail on those. So we have a 4-week course coming up, you guys. And so in our 4-week course, I think it's week 4 actually. we go over financing in detail, and all the things that I just mentioned, we go over in detail. Um, I think the key to your success as an investor is just finding the deals. And so when you find a deal, we'll help you figure out how to finance. Financing should be the least worry. The biggest concern is the deal. And so once you have a deal, my buddy Marquise just called about 30 minutes ago. He's got a deal in Fort Washington. And he was asking me, like, it's a deal, but how should I structure it? How should I finance it? And I told him, I said, what you're talking about, he wanted to wholesale the deal. And I said, do a novation. Put a little bit of money into the deal. See if the seller will allow you to, like, put some lipstick on the property. Promise the seller a certain return. See if they will allow you to sell the property to a third party, which means put it on the MLS, and you get the difference between what the end buyer buys it for and what you promised the seller. And he said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a novation. And so that's another way. And so, so in this case, the only thing he's really financing is the lipstick, is the light renovation, real light renovation, just enough to get the property sold and then staged so it shows well. And now he's going to make double the money that he thought he would make wholesaling the property. He's going to make double the money doing a novation and didn't have to actually go out and get any financing. The only thing he's going to put in he said it needs less than $10,000 worth of work to make it move-in condition. And then I told him to stage it. Staging, cost him around $1,500. So it shows well, and hopefully it sells right away. And in this case, he from what the numbers he told me, he's going to make about $100,000. Seller's going to get what they want. Obviously, the buyer's going to get what they want, and then everybody's happy. And so that's novation. And so that's another way. And when you talk about financing, a novation needs little to no financing whatsoever. Only thing you're doing is, and then let's just say it needs $10,000, it needs $15,000, it needs $20,000. And you may be thinking, well, as a novation, I don't have that money. You may not have that money, but I have that money. Or somebody else in our community has that money for a short-term loan to give you that money. Let's say you need $20,000. Somebody in our community may give you the $20,000 to put the lipstick on it. Maybe just charge you maybe like a 10%, maybe charge you 10% or a flat fee. And now you've got the money to do this novation. And wouldn't you rather, if they're lending you $20,000, 10% is just $2,000, give up $2,000 to make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Absolutely, all day long. All day long. And so we've got a lot of private lenders in our group that will finance those things for you. Now, obviously, the numbers have to work, and they'll verify that. But and so that's finance. And any questions, you guys? Most of the questions that I've had this week have been on financing. And so that's kind of a snapshot. Every situation is different. I would ask you guys to, if you have any questions about financing, just let me know, and I'm happy to walk you through the deal. And speaking of that, I had a wholesaler call me, and he's been calling me for over a year. Finally got a deal, and I said, and it was in Howard County. It was a house that the after repair value was about $850 ARV. House was in great condition, and I wanted to do an ovation. And so I said to him, let me have the number so I can call, so I can negotiate an ovation. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't let me call them. Like, dude, I'm not going to steal this deal from you. I'm going to help you make money. Long story short, he threw out an offer of like $450. He was totally wrong, totally too low. Because my offer was going to be 700. If you let me do a novation, if you're okay with making 700, I'll put it on the market for you. Um, you won't have to deal with contractors, closing costs, agents, commissions, any of those kinds of things. If you allow me to, that was going to be my pitch, but he didn't let me. His offer was too low, and he lost the deal. And so the lesson is, like, we're out here to help you guys, to help you make money. No one's stealing deals or anything like that. We all have a reputation. And so we want you guys to succeed, but allow us to help you. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in allowing. You see, Marquise has been doing this forever. He still calls me and asks me for my advice, and we all help each other. And so there's no shame in that, and no one's going to steal your deal. I can't afford for you to come on to a platform like this or any other and say, don't listen to Greg Bennett. He steals deals. I want you guys to make money.
It's kind of a mystery, Greg, that after a year of him being in touch with you, that in the end, he wouldn't want to do anything.
He finally gets a deal that looks like a deal, and he won't let me talk to the seller to negotiate. He wants to do it all and doesn't know what he's doing. And so, who knows? All right, we got a couple questions. Cynthia wants to know, will you JV out of the area? Absolutely. Absolutely. I did a deal. I talk about this all the time. I recently did a deal, I want to say less than 30 days ago, and I just keep bringing the city up. Hickory, North Carolina. We're going to pass Hickory, North Carolina on our way to South Carolina this week. It's right outside of Rocky Mount. So you know where Rocky Mount is?
Yep.
So Hickory is right outside of Rocky Mount. Never heard of it, but someone pitched a deal to me, a property in Hickory, and I was able to get that deal closed, and we split the money.
And you haven't seen the property live?
Never.
You're gonna go by and see it?
No.
You got your money, so I guess you're not too worried about it.
Sort of off the beaten path. I am gonna, I take that Dorchester exit, off of 95 to go get my sausage at Red and White. But that was your friend, Cynthia? That was my friend. Oh, I didn't know that. How did I find? Okay, somebody else referred your friend, Cynthia. You sure? All right. So Mr. Spencer has a question. What do I do when I find a deal on the market? Will you guys provide? Yeah, we'll do all that for you, Spencer. And so the operative word is a deal. It's got to be a deal. It's got to be a deal. I don't know, Cynthia. Somebody else referred. I forget her name. It'll come to me in a minute. But yeah, Spencer. So we've got to take a look at it and make sure it's a deal. Deal meaning it meets the formula. Yeah, Emma. Yeah, Emma. Yeah. So you must have gave it to Emma, and then Emma gave it to me. Yeah. So Spencer, we need to, Mr. Spencer, we need to talk about what constitutes a deal. Because if you just find a property in the market, we're not just going to just give lender letters and all that. We want to make sure that it's something that, we would want to buy, that you should be buying, that kind of thing. So Spencer's asking, are we buying at 70%, 75, or 80? It depends on the deal. If we do a novation, we can buy at 75 or 80%. If it's just a straight wholesale, if it's a flip, then we might want to buy it at 70% or a hold. But if it's a novation, and if it's a hold in certain areas, we'll go above 70. But will I buy at 80? Yeah, I'll buy at 80 if I can go in there and put some lipstick on the house, meaning maybe some paint, maybe some new flooring. But in the case that I talked about, a second ago, they wouldn't give me the privilege to get, to negotiate. Like I would have done it at 80% if they would have been willing to do a novation. Um, but the investor just never gave me an opportunity. So we lost the deal because they didn't know about novations. So, all right, some good questions. Anybody else? Anybody else have any questions? You've got to know your strategies, you guys. You've got to know your strategies. Does the opportunity in front of you, is it a wholesale deal? Does it meet the criteria of a wholesale deal? To Mr. Spencer's point, it might not. It might be at 80%. Okay, if they want to sell it at 80% of the after repair value minus repair costs, it's probably not a wholesale deal, but it might be good for a novation. But let's ask. Let's talk about it. Let's just see if they would be willing to do a novation, because everybody won't be willing to do it. Novation is we're going to promise them a certain amount, that 80% in this case, but they would have to allow us to spruce the house up a little bit and sell to a third party, meaning put it on the MLS and sell to an end buyer. If they are willing to do that, and we see that a lot of these motivated sellers are, then it's a great deal. Everybody wins, and we can partner up on those. We can split the profits like I've done in the past. I'm happy to do that if you guys find those. Karen is asking a question. Can I use the check mailers for land opportunities? Absolutely. I'm working a land opportunity. Okay. Keith, remind me to give you, just so that you have it, an example of a check letter. I've got two right in my desk.
Okay. I got a related question. Those check letters, as far as pricing, how do they price as compared to like a regular large postcard that you use? Cheaper?
I think they're cheaper because they're a letter instead of a postcard.
Okay.
And so is it called the stock? Is the letter, so they're thinner.
Okay.
So I think those check letters are cheaper. So Karen, absolutely. Oh, you're working on a land opportunity. Okay. Okay, good. And then keep in mind, Karen, if you want me to help you dispo it, sell, I can put it on. I put a property on Investor Lift, you guys, in Baltimore, maybe Thursday or Friday. What's his name, Keith? Forget his name.
Ralph?
Yeah, I put his property on Investor Lift and got a contract. Well, it's not signed yet. The contract was sent. Everything's been agreed orally. Hopefully the contract will be signed tomorrow.
That's nice.
Yeah, just put it on Investor Lift. And so, Karen, if you've got land, I can put that on Investor Lift. Cynthia's got a question. When you put novation in the MLS, how is that look at other agents? She's saying when I put a novation on the MLS, how does that look with other agents, or do we bring in buyer? No, we're putting it on the MLS, and so we've got to factor in our numbers, and I'll do that for you. We factor in commission. And so whether we want to pay 1%, 2%, 3% to the buyer's agent, generally no more than 2%, that has to be factored into our numbers. When we're looking at our numbers, we've got to say, okay, our lipstick or sprucing up the property is going to cost this amount. Paying closing costs, and which includes the real estate commission, 2% is going to cost that amount. At the end of the day, what's left over When I subtract all my expenses, what's left over is mine. And if what's left over is 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, okay, it's a good novation. But you got to include that expense of commission in there. And so when you're putting it on the MLS, it's open for anybody to take a look at. Anybody else? Anybody else have any questions? And so Mr. Spencer wants me to break down a novation. So I've got a couple of them now. I've got one. I have an easy one. And so I have one in, let's just say, Upper Marlboro. So I have one in Upper Marlboro by the courthouse in Marlboro. I think it's called, no, Village of Marlboro. Village of Marlboro. And so she found me through PPL, pay per lead. So I buy leads. And so she was one of the leads that I purchased. So I bought the lead. I ran the appointment, took a look at the property, and ARV is about 400,000 for these townhouses, maybe a little higher, maybe 425. And so her daughter is actually living in the property, daughter and her daughter's girlfriend. They're going to both be out by the end of June. She wants 300,000. So at 300,000, so generally if ARV, let's just say, is 400, first thing I think of is at 70% minus repair costs, I should be buying it at 200. So 300 was just far off. And so here's what I told her. I said, I can give you the 300 if you allow me to spruce the house up. And I use those words, spruce the house up, which in this case is flooring, a little bit of paint. It has great cabinets, but it doesn't have granite countertops. So at the end, so I may or may not put in new countertops. I'm trying to keep my rehab, my sprucing up somewhere between 10 and 15,000 to make my numbers work. And so she said yes. She said, yeah, because I was going to do all these things, but now I don't have to. If you do them, if you give me the 300, I'm good. And so I sent her over the novation contract. She hasn't signed it, but I've met with her twice. I've talked to her about 4 or 5 times. She's changed some things in the contract. It's boilerplate, but it's fine. And so we'll sign the deal. What I will do is when her daughter and her daughter's friend move out, I'll take over on the 1st of July. I will already have put in place. I don't know if I'm going to put in carpet because there's carpet in there now, or LVP. But to keep my numbers close, I don't want to, but I may just put in brand new carpet because it's cheaper. So carpet, a little bit of paint. And again, I may or may not change the countertop, but then I'll definitely stage the property. So I'll stage the property and then probably put it on the market for about 375, 380. And then once I get a buyer, I get the difference between the 380 and the 300. But keep in mind, I've spent some money. So you got to subtract out the money that I've spent in order to determine the profit that I'll be making. And so that's an example of, and so the house stays in her name, mortgage stays in her name. In this case, she's willing to pay. Our deal is she's going to pay for the first 3 months. And if it goes longer, which I'm betting it's not, then I have to take over the mortgage payments. But I've got 3 months, 90 days, where it should take me 45 days to sell it. I think it'll take me 45 days to sell, maybe 60. But we've agreed to, she's going to pay the mortgage for 90 days. So that's a novation. So Karen wants to know, are you keeping your Novation properties or are you going on the MLS? Definitely on a Novation, definitely. You definitely want to go on the MLS because you want a end buyer. Someone's got a cash buyer, a millennial, someone who's going to, you want someone who's going to live in the property because you'll get more from an end buyer that's going to live in the property versus a cash buyer. And so you definitely on a novations, we don't hold, generally speak, we can't hold them. We don't hold them because novation it's temporary. And we don't sell them to cash buyers. We sell them to end buyers that's going to live in the properties that will pay market value. But generally speaking, we don't mark them up to market value because we're not going to do a full renovation, just enough to make it presentable that someone's going to want to live in it. And then our old trick to the trade is staging it like it was a full renovation, like it's like a new home, that kind of thing.
So Greg, I got a quick question regarding that. So the LVP, wouldn't the house look better staged using that versus carpet?
Yeah, but I'm looking at my budget.
Right.
LVP is going to cost double.
Hmm.
So I'm looking at my budget. And we may go LVP. My concern is the steps, putting it on the steps. And if you guys will know what the stair nose is, sometimes it's hard to get the stair nose and matching up the nose. But
or maybe just that first level. Just do
yeah.
the first.
Yeah, they've got what's that carpet that people came out with about 10 years ago? It's not regular carpet. What's it called?
I used to know the name, but I think I got it for my dogs. I forget
the name of it, but it came out about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like sort of like a tweed, like somebody will know on here.
Yeah.
It's not regular carpet. It's that what everybody went to. Mm-hmm. But now nobody does it anymore. So somebody will know on. Karen will know, or Cynthia will know. Berber. There you go. Yep. I knew the women would know. So it has like a rundown, real rundown Berber. People don't use Berber anymore. What happened? I guess it was a fad.
It was a comfortable carpet when I had it in my other house.
Yeah, but don't the dogs mess up the Berber?
No. When they run around and stuff, they're not putting scars on a LVP. But my dogs used to sleep on it and eat food on it. It's a very durable and very easy to clean if there were a mess.
So that's an example of, and I'll walk you guys through once those of you guys that want to follow me, once they move out, I'll have you guys come over to Upper Marlboro and we'll take a look at this one particular property. And just to give you an idea of what a novation looks like in a renovation. We're not doing a full renovation, just enough to make it in move-in condition. All right. Any other questions, you guys? Any questions, comments, concerns about the market? Lots of deals out here still, you guys. You've got to do some type of marketing. Okay. So Marshawn wants to see it, definitely. We'll have some others even before then. Anything else, you guys? Any other questions? Keith, do we have any more questions?
No, just a comment. I think you made it really clear that you're here to help. But I think the big part is, like you always say, it's marketing yourself and getting in front of people, letting them know what you do. Because then when that happens and they set appointments, then the easier part on their part, the investor's part, is having you come in the system.
Right. Right. All right, you guys. There's no other questions. We do have some activities coming up. We've got a lunch and learn. I think it's a week from Friday.
Yeah,
Is
the
that right?
7th, June 7th.
So we got lunch and learn there, and we've got a few other things. I do think it will be good for you guys to attend our next. Go ahead, Marshawn. Our next.
We have another investor event, Greg, on the 15th of June also.
Okay. Okay. So we have a few things coming up, you guys. Let's see. Marshawn's question is coming. It's here we go. Let's see. Keith, Karen is saying she needs to do an anonymous LLC. Do you have any suggestions?
Yes, we can. Prime Corporate Services, the company that I met with, I can refer Karen to them, and they have discounts on their services, wherever they may be. But I got great feedback from them, and I guess you learned about them from your mastermind.
Yeah, they're my mastermind members.
Mm-hmm. So Karen, I'll send you some information.
Marshawn, transactional funding. If you get a letter, send it to me. Let me take a look at it. Generally, transactional funding, you don't. With transactional funding, it's 20 days, it's 30 days, 20 days, 30 days. I haven't seen a lender letter longer than like 30 days with transactional funding. But just let me take a look at the letter. Let me take a look at the letter. I can give you, if you have a wholesale deal, I can get you a letter. I can get you a letter. I just want to make sure that it's a deal. But with the transactional funding, if it says transactional funding, if they can stretch it out to 30 days, yeah, you can use that letter because you're gonna close a wholesale deal within 30 days anyway. We try to close those deals within 2 or 3 weeks. So Marshawn, I would say yes. I would say yes. You can use it if the letter says that it's good for 30 days. All right, I think that's it, Keith.
Okay.
All right, you guys, take care. Let's see. I would generally use the wholesale. Yep, you're right, Marshawn. All right, you guys. If you guys have any other questions, just DM me or Keith. Call me. Most of you guys have my number. Definitely, you can DM me. Join my Instagram. My Instagram is Greg Bennett Invest. I'll put it up on the screen. Greg Bennett Invest. So you can go there, follow me, and then if you ever need to contact me about a deal or anything, and if you don't have my number, just DM me on Instagram. I check it every day, and so I'll get right back to you. Let's see. Okay. All right, you guys. Take care. God bless. And Miss Candace. Candace is on here. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
All right, Miss
Hey,
Candace. All right, you guys. Take care. God bless. Happy holidays to you guys. If I don't talk to you guys, happy Memorial Day. Okay. All right. Bye. Good night.